Hello, my name's Mark and you are back for the whisky. Today I'm going to be doing a review of some whiskies that were sent to me as part of the online whisky tasting organised by the Whisky Wire, Steve Rush. Now the independent bottler that we are tasting is new to 2026. It's a company called Hip, and Hip produce these 200ml hip flask shaped bottles of whiskey. This is one of them. This is the one I'll be going to be reviewing first, which is the 12-year-old Tomintoul, finished in or matured in a refill sherry butt. So these are hip flask bottles. They retail for about £19.50 and they're available from select retailers. You can visit Hip's website at DrinkHip, where you will find that they have a list of the various stockists available in England and Scotland and online. Some stockists include Aberdeen Whisky Shop, Beerhive, Carnegie Whisky Cellars, Stevie's Drams, The Good Spirits Co, and The Whisky World, to name but a few. So I like this format. I've actually got a video which I've already recorded, which is due out next week, which I go into a little bit about these smaller size bottles. So next week there's a whiskey review going to drop. But 200ml bottles. This is the only form factor they do. £19.50. This is a bloody good idea. So the guy that came up with this idea is a chap called Conor McCartney, and he works for the Killinnian Drinks Company. You may not have heard of them, but you will be aware of some of their products. They produce, or they're an independent bottler, and they are responsible for some of the brands such as Fable, Turntable, and Living Souls. So this is a product that is bottled with their support by Conor McCartney. So go check out the website for DrinkHip. There will be links to the various socials on their website. But I cannot stress enough that I think this is a fantastic idea. £19.50. How many times have you been on a retailer's website for a specific bottle and you would need to pay delivery, and you've been looking around to try and boost your order to whatever their minimum spend is for free delivery? Being able to add in, a small bottle like this to bring your checkout value to the free delivery, it's a really good idea. But of course, you don't always want to have a full-size bottle of whiskey, do you? You want to try something, you want to gift something. So I think this is a cracking idea, absolutely cracking idea. Anyway, onto this particular whiskey. It is, as I say, it's a Tomintoul 12-year-old refill sherry butt. It is 46% ABV. It is natural colour. It is non-chill filtered. Now, being a 200ml bottle, how do we do a value score? Well, we calculate what 200ml at £19.50 would be for a full-size 700ml bottle, and that is £68.25, which for a 12-year-old, 46% is probably on the higher price that I think a lot of you would pay. However, it does give it a value score of the old value score system of 94.5 and of the new transparency and value score of minus 1.08, which, to be honest, isn't too bad. The reason the score's higher than you would expect is because it is a transparent whiskey. It's non-chill filtered. It is natural colour. It's 46%, so it hits some of the key markers. I can also hear you say, well, it would prefer it to be cask strength. Maybe they will release cask strength. This is their first outturn. They've released four products, 3 whiskies, 1 rum. We're going to be reviewing them all today. So let's go ahead and do this Tomintoul 12-year-old. We'll see what it's like. Here we go. On the nose, what do we get? Well, it is lightly sherried, which is kind of a Glenfarclas style, but it's lightly sherried. You'd expect that for a refill sherry. Some of the main sherry influence would have gone on the first fill. I can still get spices going on there, cinnamon and ginger. It is quite fresh. It's not jumping out of the glass as a sherry, but it is vibrant. It's quite aromatic. It's a touch floral. I'm getting notes of apple. The ABV, 46%. I can smell the ABV. Whilst it isn't a raw alcohol, it is giving me a bit of nasal fire. I'm trying to think of so I've been nosing this whiskey for quite a while, trying to kind of ascertain some of the notes I'm getting on the nose, and it's quite strange. There's a lot going on in there, but I'm really struggling to come up with some specifics as to what I'm nosing. It's malty, it's barley sugar. There's elements of fruit, apricot, peach, melon. It's not a typical sherry nose, but it is, as I said, it's kind of hints at Glenfarclas as well. But the overriding fruit sensation is white fruits, and there's a kind of herbaceous spice going on, which is what I'm trying to pick up on. There's something there that can't quite describe. Anyway, on the palate. Cheers. Well, to start with, that's very easy drinking. However, that 46% alcohol is making its presence known. It's saying, I'm here, I'm 46%. So Tomintoul, you very usually get that at about 40% ABV. It typically is a whiskey with a reputation of being the ladies' drink because it is an easy, friendly whiskey. This has that flavour. It just has a bit more aggressive ABV, which is those white fruits. It's peach, it's apricot, a bit caramel, syrupy. There's oil on the palate, dry malt, dry oak, a bit of bitterness, bit of tannin, toasted oak, milk chocolate. I'm going to put water in this, but this whiskey, it's, imagine a supermarket brand, Glenmorangie, Glenkeith. You know the kind that you would typically pick up for about £25 and you drink and you go, yeah, it's tasty. I just wish it was 46%. That's what this is. That's a supermarket whiskey at 46%. And it's not bad. It's not bad. Let's pop some water in. So I've just gone free pour there and added some water in. And we can see that that's clouded up straight away. There's an evil little fly buzzing around. So that's clouded up straight away with a bit of water. On the nose, it's malty, it's that barley sugar again. It's the same, apricot, peach, white fruit, the cinnamon, the ginger. It's all there. There's not much changed on the nose with water. On the palate, cheers. Yeah, it's just the same. It hasn't really changed much with the water in. It's not bad. I haven't bought a Tomintoul for a long time. And I'm sure this will hit people's spot. This one, this Tomintoul at 46%, there'll be people will be like eager to try this. And I'd say if Tomintoul is your thing, if you like friendly, approachable whiskies, which is a little bit more ABV, you'd love this. You really would. It's not for me. I think if this was a bourbon maturation, it would probably be better whiskey. If it was sherry, first filled sherry, again, I think it would probably more for me. As it is a refilled sherry, it's, I don't know, it's not quite for me. So now we're on to the second whiskey from DrinkHip, the new independent bottler for 2026. Incidentally, the domain name, drinkhip.com, was registered on the 29th of June, 2026. That's how new they are. They're a brand new company. So second dram is this, the 28-year-old Invergordon, bottled at 46% ABV. It's natural colour, it's non-chill filtered, it says it there right on the label. Nothing much on the back, it just says that it's inspired by hip flasks. And again, this is such a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. Let's pour this 28-year-old Invergordon, which retails for £19.50. So that gives you a price per bottle of £68.25 for a 700ml bottle as an equivalent, which would give it a value score of 97.6 from the old system. And on the new transparency value score, it gets a positive score, a positive 2.17. Great value, because it's 28-year-old. Of course, this is a grain whiskey. So here we go. Second whiskey, grain, 46%, Invergordon on the nose. Well, this is very tropical. You've got that coconut straight away, which is very much a statement of grain whiskey. It's coconut, as I say, and it's tropical. It's sweet. It's not at all sharp or spirity. Unlike the Tomintoul, the alcohol is not at all noticeable. Not at all. Which says that this has been very well aged. And the casks, I forgot to mention, first fill bourbon barrel. I'm not getting much in the way of spice. It's creamy. I think you know what to expect with an Invergordon, a 28-year-old Invergordon. On the palate, what's it like? Cheers. Well, that's sweet and creamy and coconut and tropical. Very, very subtle hints of papaya and mango. There's a bit of spice. It's a little bit of black pepper. Suggestion of ginger. Bit of caramel now coming through. White chocolate. The finish is oaky and it's peppery, and that coconut comes back. It's joined by milk chocolate, so we've got a bounty. If you don't like bounties, sorry, but it's like bounty on the finish. It's exactly what I was expecting for a 20-year-old Invergordon. It's a tasty whiskey. You're gonna only drink this once in a while. Does it show its age? On the nose, you couldn't tell there's alcohol in there. On the palate, yeah, you're getting a bit of a nip. So I think it does show its age quite well. Yeah, okay. So on the palate, what's it like with water? It's definitely better without the water. It's dilute coconut now. It's hints of other tropical fruit, maybe pineapple is coming in there, melon perhaps, probably cantaloupe more than any other type of melon. Ginger still there. It's being joined by a bit of lemongrass, a bit of dry hay, but overriding is that coconut and the milk chocolate, which is still floating around. It's still dry on the finish with that milk chocolate and that coconut. The oak. It's a completely different whiskey to the Tomintoul. Well, it is a completely different whiskey. On one hand, we've got a single malt whiskey, aged 12 years. And on the other hand, we've got a single grain whiskey, aged 28 years. Two completely polar whiskies, but both quite decent. And for £19.50 to get a try, that is a great proposition. Wouldn't buy either of them though, unfortunately. At full bottles, I wouldn't buy either at full bottle. For £19.50, for something different, something I wouldn't ordinarily buy, I'd give it a punt. And I think that's the point of these. You'd see them and go, I wouldn't buy them normally, but £19.50, give them a try. Yeah, give them a try. Should you buy them? Do you like Tomintoul? Do you like Invergordon? That's your answer. So now I move on to the third whiskey sent to me as part of the online tasting by Steve Rush, the Whiskey Wire, as part of the DrinkHip independent bottling of these lovely 200ml bottles. So the third whiskey we're going to be doing is a 13-year-old Bowmore. This is being matured in a refill bourbon barrel, bottled at 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, natural colour. Again, retails for £19.50. Would give you a price of about £68.25 if you were to do an equivalent up to a 700ml bottle, a 70cl bottle. In terms of value score, it would get minus 0.65, which is a good value score. And on the old value score system, it would get 94.8. So slightly better than the Tomintoul that I did earlier. So let's go ahead and pour this Bowmore. See what we get on a 13-year-old Bowmore refill bourbon. Here we go, on the nose. Well, that's sweet. It's got that ashy smoke characteristic that I'm getting off my various Bowmores. It's sweet, lemony, citrus, definitely. There's a bit of maritime influence going on there, a bit of salty brininess. A touch medicinal, just very delicate medicinal elements coming through here. A bit earthy, bit grassy, floral. It is a fragrant bouquet on the nose. That's a pleasant nose. That is a pleasant nose. I think out of the three so far, I like this nose the best. Nothing wrong with the Tomintoul. As I said, it's got a Glenfarclas nose to it, which is always a great thing. But this, I think this knows where it is. A bit of aniseed, pepper spice, I'm actually quite surprised by the grassiness that's coming through on this. It's very fresh. Okay then, on the palate, cheers. Earthy grassiness, burnt grass, ashy smoke, citrus, touch caramel. I mean, really the faintest amount of caramel. Brine, vanilla. The finish is dry and oak with salt, sea spray, faintest hint of seaweed. The smoke level isn't particularly in your face. It's there. If you don't like smoky whiskies, then you wouldn't want this, but it's not in your face. I would have said that this is quite a medium level of peat going on here compared to some of the whiskies I've tried. It's sitting bang in the middle. There is a bit of oiliness there, just enough oiliness to give it a bit of a body. It's not particularly syrupy though. That sweetness is, it's like a dilute honey. Let's put a bit of water in there. We'll see how this journey goes. So again, another 3 pour of whiskey of water in there just to give it a chance to reveal some stuff. So with water, it's released more grassy, earthy notes, more lemon, more of that citrus is coming through. It's still quite floral, quite fragrant, suggestions of different flowers. That smoke's still there. It's moved on to that, and I'm gonna have to Google the word, but it's moved on to that kind of a fake burning smell that you would usually get if you visit some kind of a historical attraction. For example, if you've ever been to the Jorvik Viking Centre in York, some of the exhibits would have that smoke that's supposed to resemble campfires. Another example would be if you'd ever been to Eden Camp in North Yorkshire, an interactive bit that you go around where they do the blitz and there's a smell, a burning smell. That's what this kind of it reminds me of. Don't know what that smell is, but it's a burning smell. Water's tamed the intensity of the nose, allowing some of the subtleties of the different notes to come through and show themselves. It's the same nose, it's the same notes, but they're more distinct than they were before. Okay, palate with water. Cheers. Again, like a lot of them, I don't think you needed water on the palate. It's more dry now with the water. The smoke is still there, but it appears now as just a flat layer, whereas previously it was intertwined and it would disappear, allowing something else to kind of show itself, and then it would reappear. Now it's just like this flat, it's there, coating everything. But again, that ashy smoke is those attraction smells I mentioned. Getting a bit of celery, touch more herbaceous, creamy, vanilla cream. I think of the three whiskies, I'd be tempted to get the Bowmore out of the 3 of them, definitely. I think this Bowmore, with a bit of time in the glass, just to open and breathe, can reveal some interesting stuff. Yeah, good shout. 3 great whiskies there, three decent whiskies. I wouldn't buy them as full-size bottles. I would definitely, obviously I've tried them now, but this proposition of 3 whiskies, 200ml each, £19.50 each. So what's that? That's £58.50 for 600ml of whiskey across 3 different types, a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old and a 28-year-old. You know, if you want to go on a whiskey journey and do it relatively cheaply and establish what tastes you prefer, they're excellent. And you know, if you struggle to finish them, don't do what some people do and tip them down the sink. Give them to a mate, or pop them in an infinity bottle, just like the one I've got up there. Pop them in an infinity bottle. Create your own blend. So the final drink that is part of the Whiskey Wire's online tasting, Steve Rush's online tasting for DrinkHip. The new bottler is this 14-year-old Fourquare Barbados aged rum, bottled at 53% ABV. It is non-chill filtered. It is natural colour. It says so just there. There's the ABV. Fourquare Barbados aged rum. Obviously I review whiskies, but we're going to finish this video with a rum. I'm not a particularly big rum drinker. Back when I went to university, I would drink rum. Rum was my favourite spirit to drink. Not really experienced that many cask strength rums. So this is going to be an interesting one. My value score hasn't really been calculated for rums. There's no kind of point of reference with regards to how it's been calculated. But we're going to drop this particular rum into the mix and we'll see what it comes up with. So just a reminder, it's 53% ABV and it is 14-year-old. I'm guessing it's a cask strength at 53%. So with the new value score, it would get a 1.57. That's into the positives. That is an excellent value, which would, on my old value score, get 100 out of 100. £68.25 for a 700ml 14-year-old cask strength 53% rum. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but in whiskey world, that's a fair price. That's a fair price. So here we go. Let's see what this Barbados rum is all about. So you can see how much I've poured in there out of this 200ml bottle. It's not even past the full neck. So it is in the glass. I've gone with my old Whiskey Resource Crystal Glencairn here. The colour on that. On the nose, what do we get? Barbados rum from DrinkHip. Foursquare. Well, it's a dry sweetness. It's like a golden brown sugar. I wouldn't say it's quite Demerara. We're getting brown sugar on the nose. Banana, kind of a estery note going on there. It's, if I was given this, not told what it was, I would look at you and go, have you given me a grain whiskey? It's kind of got that hint of coconut. It's definitely tropical. It's the flamed sugar on top of a pie. Bit of pastry, bit of cinnamon. That is a nice nose, that is a nice nose. Let's see what's like on palate. Cheers, and thank you, Steve Rush. Thank you, DrinkHip. So that's sweet. It's coconut and it's banana. It's a little bit nutty. It's also drying. It's caramelized sugars. It's tropical. It's got those tropical fruits that you'd expect. You know, a mix of papaya and mango and melon and coconut, as I've said, and banana. And it's not ripe banana. It's a banana starting to go brown, and it's quite estery. It's very oily and syrupy on the palate. The finish is very dry, touch oaky, a hint of a suggestion of salt. Yeah, I could have been convinced that this was a grain whiskey. Just drop some water in. I'm only going a little bit on the water because I'm not experienced with rums like I am whiskey. And it could be a fair shout to say that earlier on I put too much water in my whiskies, and that maybe just a drop, half a mil, would probably be better. But I like to push these things when we're doing these reviews. So that's pushing a lot more of those ester notes out, a bit more of that bananas jumping to the glass, a bit more coconut. The alcohol is lifting a bit now on the palate. That's as close as I think I'm going to get to a single grain whiskey without being a single grain whiskey. It's undoubtedly got some of the differences that you wouldn't get in a whiskey. It's more estuary for a start off. Banana's not a particularly common note that I've come across in whiskey. Coconut certainly is, and it's got coconut in here. It is sweet. And I mean, it's a dry sweet. My mouth's dry now on the finish. Seeing this is a 200ml proposition, it's these little bottles that would tempt me to actually experience other spirits. I do like other spirits. I do like the opportunity to try other things. For example, I've got this absinthe, a 200ml bottle, but it is bottled. It's quite a high strength, this one. This is 68% ABV. So the idea that of what Hip are doing, if they move away from just doing whiskies, so if they do whiskies, obviously I'm there trying different whiskies, 200ml bottles, I'm there, I'm sold on the idea. Rums, yeah, my wife loves rums, so she'd be up for trying some of these. She'll probably nab most of this now and mix it, although she does like spiced rums. I'm sure she'll try this. But armagnacs, cognacs, brandies, why not? Why not? There's lots of places you can go. And yeah, I think it's a great concept, and can't wait to see what else DrinkHip do, what Hip do in the future with some of their releases. For me, it was the Bowmore. That was the standout, followed by the value that is the Invergordon. The Tomintoul would have been a drink that I would have enjoyed more maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I've moved on. My palate's got a bit more judgmental, let's say, on some of the drinks I like. I like unusual flavours. I like things to be slightly different, something that's pushing taste profiles. But the Tomintoul's safe. It is a very safe whiskey. Certainly worth trying, as I mentioned, if you like some of those sort of malt whiskies, but you want to see what they'll be like at a higher strength of 46%. The Tomintoul's perfect for that. That's it. There it is. Cheers.